We probably, honestly, it's so funny to think about this, but I think we would have been mortal enemies growing up.
Oh, probably.
Like, because I'm, like, extroverted and social, and I love the water.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to think. I was thinking about this the other day. I think if we met when we were teenagers, we would have fucking hated each other. I even think now, if we met, it would be a little weird. We met right at the perfect time.
I do agree with that. Yeah. I think time has a lot to do with it. Mm-hmm. Especially because, things have changed, too. That when I was marrying you wasn't the case.
Yeah.
But I'm still very happy in marriage.
Yeah. Well, because you're going to, people are going to change over the years.
Yeah.
Like, I heard somebody was describing to you, somebody was telling somebody not to get married the other day.
Yeah.
And they said, you're going to change so much from your 20s to your 30s.
And it's true, but you just find the right person to change with and grow.
Exactly. That's what I was going to get at, is I was like, yeah, but when you're getting married, you got to get married knowing that you're both going to change drastically and you got to do it together.
It's wild because I'm like 25. I was like 25. That's a good age to get married. That seems like no rush. But then when I look back, I'm like, you were 22.
Yeah.
That's pretty young to be married.
I told your dad this last time he was here. I was like, I would love to say when I was 22, I was like, this is the girl I love, and I knew exactly why I was marrying you. I didn't at all. I was taking a huge risk. Like, things were good. Like, I knew I wanted to marry you. I don't think I could have told you why. But I did. And it was a huge risk. And it worked out so fucking well. And I think, and my friends roast me for this too. They're like, dude, you can't give people advice because your shit, you take crazy risks and they just work out. Like, you can't just impose that on others. And I'm like, yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I don't think it was such a crazy risk. I think the way we balance each other too.
Yes.
I gave you more assurance than, like, not to say, oh, yeah, we're solid. Like, I don't feel like I was pushing that. I just feel like I was so I was confident. I was too. There was no hesitation. Like, I did not have cold feet at all.
I didn't either.
I did, and honestly, because you know what? Even buying our house together, because we did that shortly before we got married. We were engaged, but
I mean, I think at the time I couldn't have articulated it then. I know why we work though, and many people.
But I don't think it was a big risk. I mean, marriage is always a risk.
It was
Why?
Definitely a big risk. How much time did you and I spend together in the same location before we got married?
Oh, I mean...
Days. How many days were we in the same place?
Well, I mean, we talked.
We talked a lot.
Every day. And I think we talked more than people who see each other daily. I mean,
True.
I'm sorry, look at your recent friend who was living with a girl.
Yeah.
And... So it's always going to be a big risk. Relationships are always a big risk.
No, I agree with that. Like, marriage is never, it's always going to be a big risk.
But I don't think it was this thing like, oh, it just happens to work out for you. No, because it takes work. It's not like it was just fairy dust sprinkled on us and happily ever after either.
True. And this is coming from the perspective of somebody on the outside looking in, too.
Yeah,
but I was also,
and honestly...
I was going to get at earlier, I couldn't have articulated it then when I was 22, but I know why we work now. It's because, and many people have told us this, and you even said this just earlier, it's because our personalities balance each other perfectly.
Oh,
like,
man,
where I'm lacking, you pick up the slack, and vice versa. That's why we work so well together.
Yeah. My favorite example is I can't even believe that I have the audacity to ever ask you to ask our server for something. Because you just look at me like, that's your job, you're the extrovert. And then I'm like, it's almost like you give me the look, the audacity. I'm sorry, I did get a little defensive because I don't think that it was just like this magical fairy tale that someone on the outside looking in thinks it was.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Because we also were very articulate in the way we discussed everything.
Yeah.
Because, I had people when we were getting ready to make the move from Colorado to New England, I had people being like, are you just doing this for him? Like, blah, blah, blah. And well, hell yeah. But guess what? It was talked about before we were even engaged.
Yeah, we had been talking
We
about it
had
for years.
set a timeline that you were going to do school in Colorado because I had the job with the benefits once you got out of the military.
Mm-hmm.
And then after school, whether it or I think we said 4 to 5 years was going to be in Colorado. I know school wasn't that whole time because COVID hit and blah, blah, blah. But we had discussed everything. Nothing has been a surprise to me. And we knew it was going to be hard and challenging. But I actually am loving it out here.
Yeah.
I've
loved it too.
Don't ask me in 2 weeks when I'm sick of winter, because then I'll be on the Colorado let's move back train.
Yeah.
Or let's go somewhere tropical. But honestly, in the last time we were back in Colorado, I love it, man. I do love it, and I think it's more the people than it is the state itself. Because I don't know about for you, but my family was not doing a good job of talking Colorado up the last time we were in.
No.
Because my father works for law enforcement, and right now there's trouble with, like, gangs and Venezuelans. And
oh, yeah.
And I'm like, in that area where Casa Bonita is.
Oh, my God.
It's so rough.
Well, I went to college in Denver. Yeah. I went to CU Denver.
That's the nice side of Denver,
That is the nice side of Denver, but I drove to Denver every day for, a while. And I will say, what I saw last time we were there, that was a 5-year difference. Mm-hmm. What I saw when we were there versus, like, very different. Yeah. Like, shocking difference. So to say that nothing is happening, this is an exaggeration, it's politics, this, that, you gotta say, okay, Denver has gone downhill. Go take a look. Yep, go look for yourself. Yeah. It's going downhill. There's very obvious gangs just chilling on the street.
It's honestly like Detroit in the 90s.
Yes.
Like, because Detroit was once prosperous.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. And
it's actually sad. Like, it's sad, and I'm sorry, but where my family lives is pretty close to Denver.
Yeah.
If we were ever gonna move back that way, I think I'd go more north.
Yeah.
Probably almost to the Wyoming border, if not Wyoming, honestly.
Yeah. I'd live in Wyoming, close to the Colorado border.
Yeah, like Laramie.
Yeah.
Laramie's a good city. I love it. It's like a college town that's like set back in the Western times.
Yeah, talk about brutal winters.
Pretty cool.
Rough winter there, because isn't that
they're even worse than here.
Yeah, that's a whole other 1,000 feet higher than Denver is. They're at 6,000 feet, I believe.
Yeah.
No, they're
cold. It's like, and you prep, like, you have like winter stores, and like, because also there's nothing super close. Like, I mean, if you live in like Laramie, you're probably pretty solid. But like, a lot of people live like where my dad had that cabin. That's not uncommon for people to be there year round.
Yeah.
And because I don't know if you remember, but the Wyoming side had power and wasn't off the grid.
Yeah.
And those people live there year round. So like, those roads go out in the winter. So it's not like you can go to an easy grocery store. So people stock up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no Alaska, but it's, yeah.
I would personally, like, where your dad had that cabin, I could live out there year round. I know you couldn't, because you like the internet, you like being able to.
So I could.
Things. I could live out there year round.
It's not that I can't.
Yeah.
It's that I just wouldn't like to.
Yeah, I would love it. I would be in my happy place.
And I don't think that area would have been too hard to get internet to. And who knows, with Starlink and that stuff coming out, who knows, internet might be easier. Because I do enjoy having leisures. Mm-hmm. Whereas, if we live like that is your leisure, like, your hobbies are work.
I will say, if we ever do live like that,
I think I would have to find something.
Just for the sake of discussion now, if we ever do live like that, where we got like some mountain property, we're going to live mostly off grid. It's going to be, having winter stores and really like kind of preparing just to get through the seasons. Living kind of like more of an off grid lifestyle. If we have children, we got to make sure the house has multiple rooms. Like, I've seen some videos on YouTube of, like, off-grid families talking about how, like, hard off-gridding is and, like, how it, like, destroyed their family and stuff. But then you watch the videos and he's got his whole family sleeping in a single loft.
Ugh.
It's like, well, that's fucking why,
Well,
dude.
because
Like,
you have all that.
yeah,
Like,
don't make your
you need.
kids do that.
No, you
Don't
gotta have enough
force them.
rooms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't force them to fucking live
And
like
then
that. That's crazy.
Well, and then I also think it's important to find like other hobbies. So if we were gonna live like that, I would like us to consider like having horses.
Yeah.
Because I do like horseback riding, so I would need something. And I could give up the video games.
Hmm.
I could sacrifice under the right circumstances, but I would like enough internet that I can still do the writing thing. That I write back and forth with people, not
True.
no internet writing, because I do enjoy that.
Yeah.
And
there's definitely a balance to like the off-grid lifestyle and like the consumer-based lifestyle.
There's also if you really want to play video games, there's like things like as long as you have electricity that you don't have to have the internet for.
Yeah.
So if I really want to play, like, because I'm pretty sure you can play Minecraft without the internet, you just can't play with friends.
Yeah.
So the video games aren't the deal breaker. The deal breaker with no internet would be that I really do enjoy writing with people, and that's an outlet, and I have good friends from that. So I think that's why.
Yeah.
That would be hard for me to give up. Because I'm a social butterfly.
I know you are. Yeah, I think living like that too, you'd need a good vehicle. So you'd have to drop some money. Like living like that's not free.
No,
that's not a cheap way to live, contrary to like the idea of it.
Yeah.
You still have to buy the land, buy the material.
Costs,
you got to spend money on like a reliable vehicle to like get you in and out of like that backwoods area.
Also, other terrain too. Vehicles like a snowmobile would probably be ideal to have. A side by side or a 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
Probably a 4-wheeler. Those are more reasonable.
Yeah,
I think the only reason I would be leaning towards a side by side is if we had kids. That's a little bit easier to tug them all around. Yeah. But if we had 2 4-wheelers and 2 kids,
side by side is good for like doing work and stuff too. You can load that up with wood and do stuff like that.
But I don't know. It's fun to think about. I just know that we would need more hobbies. But like you said, that's why your kids would need their own room too. Because like, what if one's a painter and one likes playing guitar? You want them to have their own spaces that can be theirs.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so important that that you get to express yourself when you're younger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean, because I honestly think emotional control is not taught anymore today.
No.
Like, and screens are a big part to blame. Because, I mean, you see all these little clips and these shows, and, like, there's such theatrics and dramatics, like, just, I mean, think of the daily scroll you do, right? I mean, you've heard all the stuff I listen to, like the Second Date Update and the How to Catch a Cheater, and that's dramatic stuff. Yeah. So, so if those are your examples, but you're not getting taught anything else, like, I don't know. I was very fortunate to have the parents that were like, if you're gonna cry, go to your room. And people say that sounds harsh.
Yeah, but you're not. I don't think it is that harsh because you're still letting them cry. You're still letting them be sad.
It's just go do it in a place not everybody needs to listen to you cry.
Yeah.
And also, like, because I do like to iterate that. If it was a big deal, they didn't make us go to our room. Like, if it was the loss of a loved one, or something, they didn't make us go to our room. It was like,
if you're throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah, it was like if my sibling chucked something at me and I was bawling my eyes out or something, or my sibling was annoying me and bawling my eyes out. Honestly, I was the one who cried the least, so I don't really remember that much.
Yeah, you've told me that a few times. I definitely, I like that idea.
But I do, because it teaches you, okay, one, you shouldn't cry over ridiculous things because you're not getting your way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's just that little thing, and it was never boys don't cry. Like, my brother wasn't told boys don't cry. They're like, no, you just need to go do it somewhere privately.
Yeah.
And then when it came to bigger issue stuff, obviously they talked with us.
And honestly,
and we didn't avoid. My parents did not avoid uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah, well, I've talked to your dad about this last time too. Before we move on to the uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah, no, you're good.
It's not about, because you were saying, oh, boys don't cry, just do it in private. It's not about doing it in private. It's not about people seeing you cry. It's about getting you to control your emotions for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Because the person, like, you can't talk somebody through how to control their emotions. You have to just give them those moments where they have to do it so they can figure out how to do it themselves. Because that's a complete mental trick that you have to do. So that's what he was saying is like,
Yeah.
Go cry, like you're gonna cry, go to your room. It's only about that. It's about making you control your emotions until you get to your room. And then there you go. That's the whole thing. It's not about seeing you cry or like, you know.
Because have you ever tried to talk down a hysterical person?
Yeah.
Like, nothing gets through.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're in their own head. And, I mean, we all have prime examples of that in our life. We know people who just don't have that emotional control.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm just thankful I do. Because I think it makes me a lot more patient.
Yeah.
And I am one of the biggest people who will, if I don't like the way a conversation's going, or something's making me mad, before I react, I take a moment to myself, and I walk away from, walk away from conversations and be like, let's address this at a later date.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's been times where I've even been like, right now, I'm really upset. Nothing I say is gonna be productive. Let's revisit this later. And it's honestly made me a solid manager, especially dealing with the age group that I deal with. And I learned that from a supervisor. She was the one who's like, it's always okay if a conversation's not going your way, or not going your way, but not going healthily, I guess. To say, hey, let's pump the brakes. Let's take 12 hours to cool off and we'll revisit this. And it was more specific to dealing with customers and stuff. But I use it in my daily life too, because there's been times I've been so mad at my siblings or, a relative, and I'm like, please, let me have the time to step away, because otherwise I'm going to say some pretty awful things.
Yeah.
And then you just feel more shitty when those awful things do come out.
Oh, I've definitely been in that situation where I'm just mad and I'm lashing out and I say some wild shit. And then later I'm like, God damn it, I didn't mean it. Like I know as I'm saying it, I don't mean it. I'm just fucking seeing red and trying to say the meanest thing possible.
Well, and I think you're learning. I hope you don't take offense when I say. I think you have learned emotional control a little later in life.
No, I definitely did. It wasn't. Honestly, it wasn't until I moved here back to New England that I recognized, ooh, I don't have the best emotional control, and I took time to like learn it. This is gonna sound kind of preachy, but not really preachy, but if you feel like you don't have emotional control and you want better emotional control, get some Stoicism books. And the problem is a lot of people they hear Stoicism and they know the very, very like basic outline of what Stoicism is. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people that won't give it a chance will say Stoicism is just, everything outside your head doesn't matter. You can't control any of it. But
Can you explain what Stoicism is?
So Stoicism's a philosophy. I think it was made by the Romans. It was either the Greeks or the Romans. It's an ancient philosophy, though. And basically, the philosophy is, or the foundation of the philosophy is that there's two things in life. Things you can control and things you can't. And if you look at everything, all your problems, all your interactions, everything like that through that lens, you'll live a better, more content life. And now that's just when people hear that, they're like, okay, the stuff you can't control doesn't matter. And a lot of people are kind of just like, that's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. They don't like that because honestly, if you're suffering and it's not,
Yeah.
and you can't control it, Stoicism says there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to live with it.
Yeah.
Like there's three big famous Stoics out there. There's Marcus Aurelius, Seneca,
I recognize
and
Aurelius.
Epictetus. Seneca was a slave. He was a Roman slave, or he was a Greek. I don't know. He was a slave though, and he had some really wild, like Stoic writings about
Do we have
being
a
a
book?
slave. We have I have Marcus Aurelius Meditations. I have Epictetus.
Oh, I love every time you say Marcus Aurelius. It just reminds me of Gladiator.
Yeah. I have Epictetus. Epictetus was a Stoic philosopher who taught at a bunch of Greek colleges.
Mm.
I think they were technically Roman colleges in Greece,
Mm.
but this book is actually from one of his students who had taken notes during all of his lectures and basically just summarized all his lectures. And it's, translated, it's pretty good. It's pretty interesting. But it's interesting reading about, like, one of the chapters in that book that they're reading about, or that he's reciting, is Epictetus is giving this lecture about why it's important to get up and make your bed every day. And he
Oh yeah, I've
describes,
heard that.
yeah, he describes about how when you wake up in the morning and your bed is nice and warm and you have to go to work and you just don't want to, and how you have to fight that feeling of not wanting to do it even though you don't want to. And this is in fucking ancient, like, Rome and
Yeah.
Greece, and I find that
That
is
is
such a
wild.
relevant
Like,
thing for
it
thinking of a
is, yeah.
guy. We've been dealing with that bullshit for fucking ever, dude.
Yeah, the not wanting to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And think back then, usually as soon as you were up before daybreak.
How did
like,
people... There was no alarms back then.
Yeah.
How did you get up for work back then?
Roosters, man.
Dude, that's... Maybe, yeah.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but...
Maybe it was just
Yeah.
rule of thumb, you gotta get up when the sun comes up.
Probably.
That was probably just rule of thumb, and then they delineated.
But imagine waking up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, I probably only have an hour left before the sun's gonna rise.
Yeah, you don't
Better
know what
just
time
stay
it is.
up.
Yeah.
Better just get my chores done. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's wild to think about all that. I'm gonna say, I think because it's funny when we first met and we're talking about like our families and stuff, we have a lot of similarities.
Mm-hmm.
Like we both got put down to naps to Enya, which I thought was really cool because that was just a very big thing I remember my mom doing to lay us down. And you said it was Grammy that would lay you guys down for a nap and
play Enya, yeah.
But my point being is we have a lot of similarities in how we were raised, but we also have some vast differences.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was one thing my mom always said is sometimes there's just stuff you can't control and it's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it was opposite for you.
Yeah.
It was like you got... Now, I do get the, like, okay, your friend's complaining about their job over and over and over and over again. That's a change they can make. That's not out of their control.
Mm-hmm.
So I do get also making changes when you're miserable, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's more about me, actually. Like,
so, there's this one book. Actually, I have to find it.
For another time.
Yeah, I'll find it another time and talk about the author and everything, but it's a very short book. It's only 80 pages. And it's called Lessons in Stoicism. And all it is it kind of outlines the overall perspective of the Stoics, and essentially is an excellent place on like where to start. And the second chapter in that, because a big foundation of Stoicism is emotional control, and this guy articulates how to use Stoicism to control your emotions so well that after I read this book, I literally was like, okay, I can do that. And then
you've been getting better.
And that helped me
Yeah.
so fucking much, dude. It helped me with my mental health. It helped me vastly. Just this little chapter of this guy talking about here's how you control your emotions. Here's how the Stoics said to control your emotions. And if I could summarize it, it's very interesting. So he breaks down emotions into like 3 stages. You have the onset of the emotion. So again, everything is, Okay, yeah. Before I explain this, I'm gonna get more coffee too.
I'll just pour yours. I
Thank
can
you.
hear you. I'll be right in the kitchen.
Okay. So I'll start over. So there's three sets, or there's three stages of the onset of an emotion. And again, all of this is through the lens of um, things you can control and things you cannot control. So the first stage of the emotion is the onset, which you cannot control. You cannot control feeling angry because something crazy just happened in front of you. That thing that happened in front of you was also out of your control. You can't, you see something and you feel happy because it's what you wanted. You cannot control the onset of the emotion. It's your body, it's your physiology onsetting this emotion.
Uh-huh.
So feeling the emotion is out of your control. Now, what you can control is how you react to that emotion. And believe it or not, you can control how you react to it. And that's actually the last stage. So first stage is onset, last stage is your reaction, and there's a split. The second stage is a millisecond. The second stage is most people miss it, and you have to very deliberately try to recognize this stage. And even if you're trying and you're practicing stoic, there's going to be times where you just don't get this stage. You miss it. You miss the opportunity to get it. And the second stage is in your control, and it's choosing how to react to that emotion. You can choose how you react, but you can't control the reaction. So the example of this is like something happened that makes you angry.
Like your wife forgetting to bring home coffee?
Yes, you forget to bring home coffee, and I get angry. It makes me feel angry. I can't control the onset of feeling angry. And then what did I do? I lashed out at you. I was mad. I missed that second stage. What I could have done is in that second stage, what you do is you say, okay, I feel angry.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel angry? And is that in or out of my control? Is the reason that the thing that's making me angry in or out of my control? If it's in your control, maybe you should be angry about it. If it's out of your control, you have to let it go and just react accordingly, react calmly.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, with the coffee scenario that you just brought up, I couldn't control you getting the coffee or forgetting the coffee. It's out of my control. I shouldn't have cared about it. So I should have, like, you missed the coffee. I should have been like, well, it's out of my control. No big deal. Yeah. And I should have been like, oh, no worries. But I missed that second stage, and I reacted to the anger instead of analyzing the anger.
You had also had a rough day.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't matter, because even if you have a rough day, like if I have a rough day, because I'm guilty of this, I've been at work and it's been like I'll have a rough day and someone, like a staff member, will just, I don't know, be the victim of, they'll ask like a question and then they'll you know what I mean. There's been times I've snapped and I'm just like, oh man, I shouldn't do that just because I'm having a bad day. I should still have emotional control.
Yep.
But what's crazy to me is you weren't taught that you're in control of your reaction.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Well,
that is something my mom always told us. You might not be able to control what happened, but you can control how you react to it. Simple and plain.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a New England cultural thing that, like, most people weren't taught that. And that, yeah. I mean, and this isn't like a slight on my parents or anything. I love my parents. They do very well.
Oh yeah,
of course. They did well raising me, I think. But yeah, they don't.
I mean, you're healthy and
they don't have emotional control. When they feel happy, they're happy. When they feel angry, they're angry. Like, and they react accordingly. There is no, like, taking a second to analyze. There is no emotional control with either of them.
Yeah, it's very reactive.
They're very reactive.
And everyone's guilty of being reactive.
Yes,
too.
and that's actually.
I mean, I would say I have good emotional control.
Yeah.
But have I been guilty of not having that emotional control?
And that's actually what I love about. That's what I love about this book too. Is it describes in there, like, even if you are a practicing Stoic who's been doing this for 40 years,
you're not perfect.
You will not be perfect.
Yeah.
It is impossible to get this perfectly. you can't be on and looking for that second phase all the time. Like, you're gonna have slip ups. You just have to deal with it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and I think we recently I've even had some big ones in regards to some differences with people who have children.
Mhm.
So, and you've been there because it's so funny too because it's out of my control, right? Not my kid, really my worries, right? Not in my control at all.
Yeah.
And then I won't even be like near them or anything, but you get to hear the earful of me being in a rage about something that's so out of my control and frankly, probably none of my business. They just told me and I went, wow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, we're all guilty of it. No one's perfect. And I will say, I have noticed a difference in you within the past year, especially. But since we moved out here, just getting a better grip on being more aware of your emotionals and stuff.
Yep.
Like, when we lived in Colorado, I used to almost never get an apology when you had those outbursts. Like,
Yeah.
and then now it's like yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before for coffee? Like,
I think it was like the day
we
before.
kind of made it like a laughing matter, but like you apologize almost instantly.
Yeah.
Like
It was crazy that I freaked out about that.
It's also crazy. It's also crazy. I took the grocery list and didn't read it.
I literally got home and you were like, I went grocery shopping. I forgot the butter and the coffee, and I immediately was like, those were the two most important things. Why? What do you? And I just lost my mind immediately.
And I was like, the two.
And then, like, literally 2 minutes later, I'm like, that was insane. I just 1950s husband. You got home from work and the dinner was cold, and I freaked the fuck out. That's what I did, and I was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't."
Hey, dinner wasn't cold. We had great salmon and asparagus that night.
Dinner was delicious.
But no, it's funny to like laugh about it now. But it's because I've had those moments too where I've freaked out on you.
Yeah,
and I call it my woman moments.
Oh.
Just my being a woman moment. I can't think of my most recent freak out from you, but I remember it being ridiculous.
Yeah.
There was something the other day where I was just I was a bitch. I was just a grumpy bitch. But considering that,
True.
Mother Nature was right around the corner. I love blaming Mother Nature. You don't get that, Jake.
Did you get more coffee or no?
No, I have to make it.
Oh.
But then I didn't want there to be a lull in the conversation.
Oh, I appreciate it.
But, what was I saying? Yeah, I get to blame Mother Nature,
Yeah.
That monthly time where I'm crazy. It's the only time I'm ever crazy because I'm pretty sane. But you don't get that. You don't have, menstruation.
Yeah, I don't have a man period, unfortunately. It would be nice. I'd love to have an excuse. That'd be nice.
Or I always just blame being a woman.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to do. I'm sure that drives feminists crazy. I've definitely been in a room full of feminists before and blamed being a woman. I'm pretty sure someone walked into work one day and go, Erica, you parked in the lines, but you're crooked. And I'm like, I'm a woman. What do you expect? And I had like 3 people look at me like...
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I actually am a decent driver for being a woman. I have no tickets and I think 1 fender bender when I was 16.
Damn. Yeah.
So wait, I think I did I didn't get a ticket for that. I just had to exchange insurance. But yeah, I'm pretty fortunate, unlike my female wife, who has how many fender benders?
Talking to me?
Yeah.
I'm your female wife?
Well, the way you drive.
I've got 3 fender benders, but they were all like 21 and before. I haven't had a fender bender. Knock on wood, I haven't had a fender bender in years. I haven't had a fender bender in almost 10 years.
Well.
And honestly, the last one that happened when I was 21,
that was
kind of wasn't my fault.
Yeah. It was just funny to me, the whole, being a woman thing drives people crazy, but it's my favorite excuse.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even the time of month. I just blame it on being a woman. Well, I'm acting crazy because I'm a woman. What do you want? Drives people up a wall. I'm pretty sure it drives my sister and cousin up the wall the most.
Yeah.
Probably because I'm like the least feminist person you'll meet.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, why are we missing out on a perfect scapegoat? I'm a woman. That's why I did that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm menstruating. Sorry, I'm a little emotional.
Yeah.
You always see those like sitcoms where the man assumes they're on their period and they like freak out. And I go,
yeah, I am actually.
Actually I am on my period.
You always are.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Didn't you just have that like a week ago? Oh, it's back. No, it's fun to be a woman. I hate it.
You hate being a woman?
Yeah, it's really hard. Especially this week.
Yeah. Yeah, that would suck. I can at least empathize. I can't empathize, but I can at least understand why having a period would be fucking dog shit.
One of my dad's favorite jokes, it's just a one-liner, and it's, you should never trust something that bleeds for 5 days and doesn't die.
That's funny.
And I'm like, thanks, Dad. You know how to cheer your teenage daughter up. Thanks.
Mm.
I think I was a young adult, actually, at that point, but...
That's funny.
Yeah. I think I get it from my mom, though, too. Except the difference between my mom my mom absolutely hated when my dad would call her woman.
Yeah?
Yeah. He'd do it all the time. He'd go, woman? And she'd be like, I'm gonna strangle you.
You're in my phone as woman. I call you woman all the time.
You tried changing it, and I got offended.
You cried. I think you were on your period.
Yeah, it was definitely a time of menstruation for me.
Jesus. Good old period talk.
Yeah.
Talking periods.
That's what you get for getting married to a woman.
Yeah. Yep.
Pretty sure gay men have menstruation, though. I've literally seen, like, I've had friends, and I'm like, "Ooh, you are definitely menstruating right now." Just ones I've worked with and stuff. So funny.
That is funny. Alright. You want to keep talking, or do you have...
Yeah, let's put a little pause on it.
Yeah, we can put a pause on it. Maybe we'll do a more, like, focused one, because I could chill here and talk all day.
Are we gonna... Will you still use